More people coming in, and then I'll start. I think there's a few last-minute stragglers, and then I will get started. You don't have to be shy. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. I am Ariel Rosenstein. I am the Senior Director of Marketing at SimilarWeb. Quick show of hands, does everybody know SimilarWeb? Very good. I'm in charge of brand awareness, and last year nobody raised their hand, and this year 50%. So we're getting better. What do? We reveal the secrets of online success for every website, every application, and every country. How do we do that? We measure what's going on within in all of these websites and every app. They give you the traffic trends, the referring traffic, everything down to the keyword or ad level we can show you. And on the app side, we'll show you the engagement for the apps, the rankings of the categories, not by actual downloads, but by the actual usage volumes and the retention, per apps, what's going on with the customers. A little bit about the company for the 50% of you who don't know us. We were founded in 2007. We've raised $65 million today, primarily from Naspers. We have 7 global offices, and we're over 250 employees. So how do we provide all of these cool insights? And I apologize for the small fonts. You might have to squint a little bit if you're sitting farther back. We've got our crawlers. We crawl the web. We map the web every day, and that's our own proprietary crawler and understanding. And then we combine 3 different perspectives of what's going on in the web. The first perspective, which is one of our strengths, our strongest strength, is actually our international panel. We have over 100 million devices that opt in. People opt in by downloading free software. And when they do that, we're able to see the websites and the app usage because they've opted into the panel. The other way that we collect data is through the ISPs. So we measure what's going on from the infrastructure level based on the internet providers, and we merge these 2 data sources together. And then the third data source, which is used in our numbers, is actually our direct measurement. And our direct measurement means that there's over 100,000 different websites and apps now which connect their data to us. So what does that mean? It means that we've collected data from 3 very, very important sources, kind of the foundation of the internet, from the users, from the website infrastructure, and also from the internal analytics. And this gives us a very unique view, and we like to think accurate view of what's going on online. For example, what can we provide you guys? Here's a top list of the top news websites in the UK from the previous month. Here's the most played Android games in the UK. We saw that a local company, King, just got bought by Activision. We can understand why. This is actually all of the apps sorted by their app usage. This is, if you see the SimilarWeb symbol here in the app index, this is the volume of usage. So while Candy Crush Saga ranks 13th in the store in terms of downloads in the Google Play Store, it's actually the most played game. That means the most number of people have it, are opening it, and looking at it. That's how we measure apps. Farm Hero Saga is an even better example. It's not even in the top 100 anymore, and it's dropping in terms of downloads, but in terms of user momentum and playability, it's still way up there. Some of our customers, and I picked some e-commerce customers just because of this audience. eBay, Adidas, additional customers include Google, OLX, Nike is a customer. So obviously everybody's here because this is a workshop, right? That's my obvious statement. I like to get everybody to agree with me at the beginning. And this is me. I don't know if you can agree with this. I spent a lot of time drawing this at home, a few different reversions. Let me pop up my hair a little bit. But really, this is me. And in a workshop, our CEO is going to be downstairs later today selling the company. I want to find the balance where I'm going to try and sell to you a little bit, but also provide you with some insights, which is how I named my conference, my workshop, sorry, the opportunities you never knew existed. So for that, I want to point out that we have SimilarWeb.com for free. I've seen a lot of people on their devices here. You can pop it open while I'm talking. I won't be offended. You can look at the stuff that I'm talking about. You can see lots of data for free. When you're ready to go pro and go into the deeper data, then you can start talking to us about our different SaaS packages and API. But for the most part, a lot of what I'm talking about can be found for free. at SimilarWeb.com. Every website, every app. Oops. So why competitive intelligence? Kind of our story. This was the state of search engine marketing in 2011. There were some free solutions which offered ranking but not data. There was some SMB solutions, primarily only in the US, and there was enterprise. So where we were able to come in and fill the market is we were able to offer global data, a global perspective by building the biggest panel in the industry and offer that across the free SMB and enterprise markets. And then we mixed that with our multi-source data collection, and that's how we grew to become a company. In the last 10 months, we've hired 140 people. We're growing at a very fast clip across desktop, mobile web, and mobile app devices. And that's it. That's the end of my commercial. Now let's talk about opportunity. How can you use data to find opportunities? So the first thing is size really matters when it comes to opportunity. Here's an interesting example. Is everybody familiar with BuzzFeed? BuzzFeed gets half their traffic from social. And what did they know before everybody else? They knew that social is going to be the #1 driver to online magazines in the industry. And we see here today that even more important than search, and more important than even direct, having brand recognition, is the ability to get stories to go viral within the publishing industry. And so, this is how BuzzFeed was able to build this media empire and do it so quickly and so successfully. And we can see here, if we look at BuzzFeed, more visits than the BBC, more visits than the New York Times. And why? Because they're doing it socially. They've got 50% of their traffic coming from social. For them, Facebook is far more important than Google ever is. And then we also see from mobile. They were ready for the mobile world before everybody else was, and they're getting 60% of their visits from mobile. Now, for my examples today, I'm going to take you through the shopping industry in the UK. I think everybody here is wearing clothes, which is good. So it's probably an industry that you're at least somewhat familiar with. Even if your wife or your husband picks out all the clothes for you anyways, you still at some point have to buy some piece of clothing. So this is why I picked it out. So what I've done is I've taken the top 10,000 clothing sites in the UK, mashed them all together, and here's their overall strategy. And we can see here that when we're talking about opportunity, the biggest opportunity comes from search. 45% of all the traffic to the to the clothing industry in the UK is coming from search. Very different than magazines like I showed you before, but this is the opportunity for clothing retailers in the UK. Here's some of the sites that we're going to look at today. We're going to look at ASOS, Next, New Look, H&M, Boohoo, and here they are. This is, from September, their share of the ranking. So ASOS, for example, captures 7% of the total market in the UK. I apologize for the small fonts. So what are the online opportunities and strategies that you can use? How can you use competitive intelligence to find those opportunities? Number one, you can discover users that you never knew existed by their behavior. And you don't even have to look at Facebook tracking or cookie tracking. You can look and see, with competitive intelligence, how they surf the web by looking at different websites and find similar websites. I'm going to take you through search engines and look at different ways to use the search engines today. How you can poach traffic, poach paid traffic, and then last we'll talk about opportunities in mobile and apps. So audience interests. One of the cool things that we do at SimilarWeb is we show you all of the sites that are visited either before or after a website during the same browsing session. So for this example, we're looking at ASOS. And here's a list of all the sites that people are visiting either before or after, but within the same browsing session. So we can see that Topshop and Zara are within the top 5, which makes sense. They're competitors. People are checking out the latest styles, they're comparing prices. But then how do you make that actionable? What's the opportunity there? The opportunity is when I filter for the coupon sites. Now, if I'm the marketing director of ASOS, I can see here, okay, here's all the coupon sites that people are visiting in addition to visiting my own site. I have this new perspective, this new look onto the web, and I can see, okay, this is great for affiliate traffic. I need to be there. I need to push promotions. If we're offering 30% off anyways, we should be doing it via a coupon site because people are looking there. And then we look at all the fashion blogs. So I filtered for arts and entertainment here, and we can see, okay, here's the trendsetters within our industry and within our own customer base of the places that people are visiting. So Fashion Beans and Guru Gossiper, and Style on Screen are all sites with very high overlap in terms of what people visit, before or after they visit ASOS. And I know none of these sites because I'm not really a fashion guy, but that's what we can show with the data. So let's look at the big opportunity for this market, which happens to be search engines. So I'll remind you, look, we see 45% here, 10 times more important than social. So even though everybody talks about Facebook and social, if I'm in the fashion industry and I'm a marketer, because I'm a marketer for SimilarWeb, I'm focusing on search first. I'm getting my performance campaigns up and running. I'm working on SEO because I can see that's my biggest opportunity, much more than social, which maybe makes a lot of noise but sends relatively little traffic. So the first thing is, how competitive is a market? We can take a top-down look and say, okay, from this market, we can see that actually 12% of all the search engine clicks are paid across the entire industry. That's actually a fairly high number. Across other industries, we see that's closer to 5 to 7%, even lower for the publishing industry, slightly higher for the travel industry, where it's very, very competitive. And then we can see the different search channels. So we can see that 97% comes from mostly just regular old search, text search. But then we see here image search is a good 3% of the market. And when you're talking about something as big and as widespread as like clothing in the UK, I see that as a good opportunity. The other thing that I see here is there's not much traffic from shopping, maps, and video, which might be a nice opportunity for smaller retailers to enter the market and not have to compete with the big players. The big players are all fighting over the keyword search. But if I have a local shop, I need to make sure that I'm in the local search to capture that small amount of traffic, from map search or in shopping search, to make sure that my entire category, my entire inventory is indexed and appearing in Google Shopping. So when we talk about discovering opportunities, we can see here there's not much difference in the top players between total search traffic, organic search traffic, paid search traffic. Some do a slightly better job than others. For example, H&M is buying more traffic than they get compared to their share of the market for organic search. Next is doing a very good job with SEO and organic search, but there's not much insight there. But when we look at what's trending, suddenly we can get ahead of what's going on within the market. It's hard to compete with the big boys, and even if you are a big boy, you have to spend a lot of money to overtake 1 or 2 spots. But now we can see, here's the top trending searches. And we can see, with the top trending, for October, it was Halloween costumes. And Palladium boots and Halloween costumes in the UK. And we can buy those ahead of time, or we can look at last year and see what trended in October and buy those in September and get a leg up on the competition. We can see, in terms of paid, what ads people are clicking on more. What are the top competitors in the market pushing for? So we can see Topshop increase their own brand search by 8,000% over the previous month. So either they're feeling the heat of the competition, or they're really pushing their brand very hard. And then in shopping trends, we actually start to see some really interesting information. We see here that men's leather jacket has jumped 700%. So maybe men's leather jacket is coming back in style. And I was actually in Marks & Spencer yesterday. There's a whole section now just for leather jackets. There were regular jackets and now leather jackets. So maybe that's making a comeback. Wellies, obviously, for the winter. Adidas Originals. And boyfriend coat is something else that I thought was very interesting. I don't know what it is, but maybe if you buy a coat for a boyfriend, you'll get a boyfriend. And so then we can say, okay, what's the keyword market share? What's my opportunity, or what opportunity am I missing? So I went back and I took the leather jacket one because I find that very interesting. And I filtered here. This is the keyword opportunity for these 5 sites that all appear for top results for leather jacket. And we can see that ASOS is doing a very, very good job in capturing the market. So even though that like Camden Market and M&M Direct, and even Ted Baker there, you can see Ted Baker pops up on a few keywords. They're showing up in Google organically. They're being priced out of the market. So that's their opportunity to make a catch-up. They can say, okay, what's my market share? And try and come back and grab that opportunity. If we look at another example, dresses, for example, very, very competitive. And we can see here, for dresses, we have bridesmaid dresses being split between ASOS, which is blue, and Next, which is pink. And then we go down for wedding guest dresses, and we can see that now Next is not even playing in the market. So it's not that they're not selling those dresses, it's that they're not even buying the right keywords. They're definitely selling, wedding guest dresses. They're definitely selling dresses. They're spending a lot of money to compete with the other big players, but here they haven't done a good enough job when it comes to keyword research, and they're missing out. And so by looking at the keyword market share for different categories of keywords, we've been able to identify opportunities for them. And then finally, what I found very, very interesting was image search. Image search in certain industries are very, very important. So if we go back, we see the top players here, not much change. But if we look at image search, suddenly we see a very different list. We see ASOS at the top, but we see a site called list.com. What are they doing? They are doing a very good job of getting their images found in Google. So they found a way to get into a lot of traffic, be even bigger than ASOS, be even bigger than Next, by becoming very, very good at image SEO. And when we look at image search, in the competitive market, we actually see, now we're looking at the trending keywords, we can see that people use Google image search in a different way than they use regular search. In regular search, they're already looking for, a product, maybe they're doing price comparison, they want to see what's out there. But in trending search, we actually see cool things like this: plunge sequin mini dress, handbag. They want to see what the handbag styles are. They want to see what's changing. And even now, if you start looking for different brands within Google image search, you'll start to see different dresses. You'll start to see different products being populated there because people use Google image search to see what's trending within the market. So now let's talk about poaching traffic. And this is kind of the fun thing when it comes to competitive intelligence, because it's not just, here's my opportunity. Here's an opportunity that I can take away from you. So I joined SimilarWeb in June 2014. Took me a few weeks to get my legs under me. Started going down. We sat down with the team. We did some research using our own tool, and we looked at some of our competitors. And we saw that actually for one of our competitors in the US was getting a huge amount of traffic from this website called Income Diary. And I said, I want that traffic. They must be doing something very smart there. So I made that a top priority of my team. They approached Income Diary. They found ways to advertise. They found ways to get within the website. And today, we're taking 46% of that share as of August when I checked last, which means not only have I increased the price of that traffic for my competitor, but now when I get this traffic, this is actually very good traffic for us. This traffic converts. We get deals out of this. So I know not only am I winning deals, I know those deals aren't going to my competitor. So that's what I mean when I talk about poaching traffic, and it's a very satisfying thing to do as a marketer. So you can reveal the affiliates that you never knew about. So if we look at like Next versus New Look, we see that Next is hiring, and they're getting a lot of traffic from Indeed. And you have to think about all the different touch points within your brand. If you think about a startup that's growing, if you are going to hire, you want to hire, you want to be very, very visible. This is lessons that we've actually learned because we added so many people within the last year. And we can also see, okay, here's all the affiliates I didn't know existed. So your careers team needs to talk to your marketing. Your HR department needs to talk to marketing in order to be more visible to find people. And in terms of your marketing people, you need to be able to find the affiliates like Polyvore, which are sending all their traffic to New Look. Next isn't even getting any traffic from here, and it's sending them a decent amount of traffic in terms of referral traffic. Offer of the day is also going to New Look. So here's Next, one of the biggest players, one of the biggest clothing companies in the UK, maybe even Europe, and they're missing out on a lot of opportunities here too. How can you grow your market abroad? Here's a very, very good example. I'm out of Tel Aviv, of ASOS and Next. They both offer free delivery to Tel Aviv. And they came in the market, I want to say, 2-3 years ago. And they came across Castro. You probably don't know who Castro is. Castro is probably the biggest clothing brand in Israel. They're big online. They have local presence. And this is the display traffic from 2014 when they first started coming into the market. So what did Castro know, being a local Israeli company, that ASOS and Next didn't? They knew the local market. They knew the local language. Remember, we speak Hebrew, we speak Arabic. They knew where to advertise. These are all the biggest websites in Israel. It's not hard to get this information, but it is difficult to say, okay, if I am a media buyer sitting in London, how do I grow my brand abroad? I have to find an agency in Israel. That's difficult to do. I have to measure how they're doing. That's also difficult to do. And here we're giving you this kind of data. You can look at Castro and see what they're doing and start to copy and put your ads there as well. And so what we saw was a huge change in traffic, and now the website looks very different. The space looks very different. So top organic traffic. You can discover the not provided keywords for your competitors. And this is something that Google makes it very difficult to do now, is see which keywords are driving your organic traffic. And for Next, we can see actually the most important keyword for them is NEP. Do you know what NEP is? Next Employee Portal. So they're getting actually a lot of traffic organically from their own customers. From their own employees. And then after that, we can see how important curtains are and Christmas jumpers. And this is already, Christmas jumpers is one of their top organic keywords starting in October. Men's shoes, rugs. Here's their top list of organic keywords. This is where, if I was ASOS, I would start building my SEO campaigns to match theirs and take traffic away. As we know, SEO is a very long-term thing. Now let's talk about the paid traffic. You can see the keywords that are driving traffic by volume. What is ASOS investing in? What does Next want to know? What does Zara want to know about the UK market? We can see that backpacks and shoes are very, very important, as is triangle bikinis. I assume those are probably all not either high volume or also like high margin items, and that the markup on backpacks, shoes, and bikinis probably is pretty high and therefore worthwhile to invest in. And so what I would want to do if I was the PPC manager at ASOS's competitors, take a look at this list, see what they're offering, okay, free shopping, discover fashion. People want to discover more with clothing, and this is one of the things I found universal with all the clothing sites, is show people more styles, and they'll probably stick around longer and buy more. You can start to understand where you're losing market share. If we look at jeans, you can see that ASOS now in blue is losing a lot of traffic to Next, and everybody sells jeans, so you can start to understand where I need to boost my traffic compared to the competitors. And then we need to understand, on the paid side, is my brand where it needs to be? We can see how important Google Display is. More interesting is here's where all the ads are coming from. And we can see that ASOS is everywhere, especially in the UK. The Guardian, Channel 4, MSN, and that Next is not really appearing. So if I'm the media buyers, I'm missing out on these opportunities. I'm missing out on these opportunities to get my brand out there, to get these touch points, and to compete with ASOS and make it more difficult for them to operate. Then we can understand the ads. We show you all of the ads. So we can see there's the usual price comparison, up to 50% off. Here's a sale, come by. But we see also hundreds of new products added daily. Or what's new? I saw this kind of universally when I was doing the research for this, this workshop, that that fashion sites are pushing new. New is a new lever to get people to come into the website. They want people to discover fashions. They want people to find the coolest things, and that new means cool, I think, for the millennial generation. And finally, let's talk about mobile and apps. Mobile web is here. If I look at the percentage of traffic coming to these websites that are coming from a mobile-based browser as opposed to a desktop-based browser, everybody is coming with a higher percentage of mobile than desktop. And I think it's also tends maybe in the clothing industry because the generation is typically younger, so they probably have their iPads or their phones, and this is how they're looking at the web as opposed to the desktops when I think people in this room would typically tend to do research more. Apps are very, very competitive. Very. It's very difficult to crack into the top app market. If we look here at the most used apps, we see eBay, Amazon Shopping, Groupon. I don't see this list changing very often. So if a company wants to go after the mobile market and they want to push an app, they're going to have to be very creative and expect to invest a lot in the app market. And we can see, actually Amazon has 4 of the top 20 apps here, or 3. And Aldi, and big names here. There's big names on this list. So it's going to be very difficult to compete in the app market. We see here that the change doesn't happen at all. This is month over month change. We can see that some go up or down slightly, but for the most part, in terms of store rank and in terms of usage rank, they're very static when it comes to the app market. And the other thing is, with the app market, when you get somebody to install, you invest all this money in marketing, you drive them to the store, they install the app. What happens? You have a very, very short window to get them to use the app. Just I think like what we all do, it's easy to add the app, you play with it once or twice, and then you forget it's on your phone. Maybe you don't even use it again, but we can see the 28-day retention. You brought this customer in. You've got them to download your app. They're inside your interface and your usability, and you control the usability. But here, after 28 days, for the shopping industry, only 6% of those people are continuing to use the app. Amazon does a better job at 9%, but even Argos or ASOS are sub 5%, which means that only 1 in 20 new visitors that you bring to your app is going to stick around after 4 weeks. And then you can reach customers on social. One of the things that we see here, okay, people who use ASOS, the other apps that they have installed on their phone. And we can see here, there's a very high correlation with the apps that people have on their phones. We have your Instagrams, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Snapchat, and your Pinterest. People typically have all of these different apps on their phones. I think I do too. WhatsApp here, if you consider it as communication, could also be social. These are kind of the apps that we use on a day-to-day. So if you can advertise through these social apps, which you definitely can now, it's a great way to reach customers on mobile, going the social routes. And finally, the last point I want to talk about is App Store optimization. So we've got the different search terms within the App Store. What do you notice on this list? Amazon, eBay, shopping list, clearance shopping, Craigslist, Amazon Prime. There's a lot of branded search here. And you can see here, it's the long tail almost. 85% of the most searched for terms within the Google App Store here are for like Amazon, and then eBay's here at number 65, at 65%, or 65 popularity score, excuse me. When people open up the App Store, they don't typically browse or try to discover. They either want to feel a function, which might be shopping list, or clearance shopper, or barcode scanner, or they're going specifically for a brand. So when you want to do App Store optimization, you want to make sure that you include those kind of functionalities that people are looking for. So if I were to try and create a new app for the clothing industry today, I would make sure that shopping list was a functionality that I added into my app. Even if it was on other stores, it's a small price to pay in terms of development costs in order to get the long-term benefits of App Store optimization, be able to capture this organic traffic. You can see here keyword opportunities in terms of like fashion clothing. If people search for clothes, the popularity score is 1. Very few people look for apps for clothes, but people do look for apps to fill functions. And so, when you want to find your keyword opportunities, you want to look at the popularity here. Here's some of the bigger challenges within the, I would say, e-commerce markets, understanding the local markets, dealing with a wide range of competitors, reacting to seasonal demand, being able to target your audience in a multi-device world, and spotting trends as they happen. And these are things that SimilarWeb can help you with. My name is Ariel Rosenstein, and that is my workshop. Thank you. Questions? No? Yeah?
How is your data in terms of emerging markets?
Very good. Which markets?
Say Pakistan, India.
Pakistan, India, no problem. Indonesia, Malaysia, most of Thailand, Vietnam, we have lots of data. Like I said, when we discovered that this was the model that we wanted to go about, we actually founded in 2007 and we pivoted. We made that play for global data. So we spent 2 years in stealth just building up the largest data set possible, and that includes emerging markets. One of our primary investors is Naspers, and they're very heavily invested, in Russia, in Asia, in Africa, and they started out as a customer. And then they turned around to us one day and said, hey, would you rather be a customer or an investor? And we said both. And so we got the best of both worlds. They're paying us twice. Other questions? Yeah?
Related to the B2B stuff you're doing that goes beyond what's free, what are some of the classic B2B opportunities SimilarWeb some customers exploit?
B2B, I think the first slide that I showed was probably the most important one in terms of audience interests. How do you reach customers at the same sites that they're visiting? So you can look at your competitors' customers, see which news sites they're visiting, and you can filter all of that just like I did for, I think it was ASOS. Find those coupon sites. So maybe it's B2B, find the news sites that they're reading. Find the trade journals that they're reading. You can filter all of those within the platform and instantly see, hey, here's how I can reach the people who my competitors are using or people who are visiting my competitors' websites. That's one. In terms of B2B, we offer the high-level market overviews as well in terms of industry analysis. You can see a top-down if you want to do business development and help your sales team and try and cultivate leads that way. There's lots of different uses. We have, I'd say half our customers are B2B. I just picked a B2C example here because it's very easy, I think, for a general audience to understand.
Start to trail down into the lower ends of the number. It's not top 10 anymore. It's not top 50. It's maybe top 2,000. Is your data still going to be there, or did it start to curtail at a certain point?
So we are tracking close to 80 million websites. Because we use the sample, for sites with less than 200,000 visits a month, we still have lots of useful data, but the accuracy in terms of like the volume of traffic tends to drop a little bit. But in terms of like ranking, we'll show you the top 10,000 for every category. That's no problem. If anybody wants a card too, you can approach me. I'll give you a card. Yeah?
What are your biggest client group? Is that e-commerce players or traditional brands?
Good question. I mean, Google is a customer of ours. It's hard to say that Google, probably one of the biggest customers in the world, companies in the world. In terms of markets that we go after, finance and investment is about a third of our customer base. Investors like to know what are the traction, what's going on. Hey, I want to invest in this app. How competitive is this app market? How much traction are they getting? What's the usage or retention of an app, which is stuff that I didn't even show you. What time of day do people use it? I did show you a bit of retention. The other third is the e-commerce travel, big brands, because especially travel is very, very competitive. We have a dozen airlines who are customers who are trying to compete with the big three, Priceline, TripAdvisor, and Expedia groups. And then the research market, companies like McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group are looking for additional data to do their research with. Any other questions? Feel free. We have a booth here at the corner at the entrance too. You can stop by and ask more questions. I can show you the platform live if you want to peek into your competitors. If you want to come up here and grab a card, I'm happy to talk more too.